Welcome back to another episode of the Adventures of a Disney Dad podcast. We've got a different kind of episode this week. My right hand man, Chip, is out on a cruise ship with Disney Cruise Line right now with his family. We hope he's having a blast. I know he is because I've talked to him very briefly. But because of that, I'm going to be riding solo. So I'm going to answer a bunch of your listener questions. We're going to catch up on all the Walt Disney World news and a little bit of Universal here at the beginning because we just got some great discounts and a little bit of news that came out that I really want to touch on. I also really want to talk about with all these new Disney promotions, how can you evaluate which Disney promotion is going to be best for you and your family? Because it's not always straightforward. It's not always one is going to be cheaper than the other. Sometimes it is. But whenever you're dealing with the free dining plan offer, you have to do a little bit of math to figure it out. So we're going to talk a little bit about that too. One thing I do want to mention before we get started is if you are interested in running for Walt Disney World Marathon Weekend, there are a ton of great charities out there that are looking for runners, and you can help a great cause. I think there's over 30 different charities that have bibs available. I will put a link to the list of available bibs in the show notes so that you can check those out. One in particular that I want to draw your attention to is the World Wildlife Fund. They have bibs available for Disney Wine and Dine Half Marathon Weekend as well as Walt Disney World Marathon Weekend. They are a global leader in conservation. They're committed to protecting the planet's most vital ecosystems and endangered species. This is not sponsored in any way. They are just one of the great charities. Again, there's over 30 that have bibs available. Some are sold out, especially if you're looking for some of the more popular races like the Dopey Challenge and things like that. But if you're interested in checking out those charities, definitely check out the link in the show notes and make sure you reach out to us too, and we can try and help you raise some money for a great cause while you're going to be running your Walt Disney World races. All that said, Walt Disney World dropped a bunch of news. The biggest is that they release a bunch of promotions that go through towards the end of the year. The number one most popular promotion is the 30% off Disney Resort hotel rooms. That's going to apply from August 1st to October 11th. As always, you can reach out to me. I'm a free travel agent. I'd love to help you plan your Disney vacation and get these booked or evaluate the different offers, get a quote, all those things. No cost to you. But that said, the most common is this 30% off Disney Resort hotel rooms. And the reason for that is that you just get a flat discount. It's anywhere from 20-ish on the value resorts up to 30% on the deluxe resorts. The moderates fall there in the middle. But when you're comparing, it's often against the free Disney dining plan offer. And the reason why you have to compare these is that the free Disney dining plan offer, which is available from June 29th to December 22nd, you have to book a non-discounted vacation package. So you're comparing a non-discounted room with at least 4 days and 4 nights, and it has to include the Disney Park Hopper ticket. That's the other key. If you're not interested in Park Hopper or you're going on a shorter trip, the free dining plan, it doesn't really matter for you. But if you're going on a trip that's longer than 4 nights and you're already interested in Park Hopper, the free dining plan is probably going to be a better savings than the 30% off room package. You really have to evaluate it. I tend to look at it. There's a calculator on our website that's free that you can look at how much the Disney dining plan will be worth to your family on your trip and all the specifics. But you could really calculate it as like $100 a night per adult and $50 a night per child is the value of the Disney dining plan, because that's about what it would cost you if you were to buy it with cash. So if you look at, a 5-night vacation with a family of 4, 2 kids, 2 adults, you're probably looking at $300 in savings per night. So times 5, you're looking at $1,500 or so that you would save by having the free dining plan offer. It's very unlikely that you're getting a room rate that is $300 off on the 30% off Disney Resort hotel rooms. It's possible if you're looking at the higher end deluxe options, but you really should consider that free Disney dining plan offer. Now, it's important to remember that the standard dining plan, which is really the one that you want, is only going to be available for deluxe resort guests. You need to stay at a deluxe resort to get that offer. Otherwise, you're going to be getting the free quick service dining plan if you're staying at a value or a moderate, and the value of that goes way down. But that's really how you have to compare those. There's some other options that Disney came out with that I think are good for very specific vacations. Number one is the 3 days of standard tickets for kids ages 3 to 9 are going to be half off. They are letting you stack those with some non discounted resort packages. But again, because there's so many other offers, that's not typically going to happen. This is a very unique circumstance where you would be getting that 50% off kids, where it would be the best deal. And then the last one is the 3 day, 3 park ticket for $89 a day plus tax. It lets you go to 3 theme parks: Epcot, Hollywood Studios, and Animal Kingdom. You cannot go to Magic Kingdom on that offer. So it ends up being about $267 for 3 days of park tickets, which, if you want to visit those parks, if you're not someone that cares about Magic Kingdom, you're not going for the first time, it can be a pretty good deal, especially for, like, the teens and adults that are going down without little kids, and you can go to Disney for a short weekend or something without children. I think that's a good offer to save you a little bit of money. But again, you might see better savings on some of the other options that are available. So definitely evaluate all those properly. The next big ticket news we got is that Epic Universe released Express Pass for starting May 22nd when they open. And the pricing was shocking to me. It's only going to be $260. And I say only, I understand that that's expensive, but it's only $260 for opening day, which is like $200 ish less than Magic Kingdom's Premier Pass. So to me, I'm really surprised at the affordability of Express Pass at Epic Universe. I think for most dates, it's going to be around $240 per person. And again, I recognize that it's expensive, but if you compare to what you would have gotten at Islands of Adventure or Universal Studios, there's a lot of days where at the old parks at Universal, it can be more than $300 per person. They also release VIP tours. I don't have pricing for those, but they are available for Epic Universe. You can get them in a 4-hour increment for one park, or you can get them in a 7-hour increment for 2 parks. As far as I'm aware, you cannot go to all 3 parks on a VIP tour at Universal the same way that you could with Disney yet. But I have a feeling that that'll be the case. Certainly with the first month or two, with how busy that park is going to be, I expect you're going to get your money's worth. But Express Pass Unlimited at the older parks becomes even more valuable because you can do everything other than Hagrid's multiple times. There's also hotel perks where some of the signature level hotels get the Express Pass included for free. That does not include Epic Universe at the moment. So that's something else to watch out for. I imagine that's going to be something that they upgrade the hotel offerings soon. But with the way pricing works, who really knows? We also got some really fun Walt Disney World news. When it comes to neglected rides, Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin at Magic Kingdom is probably up there high on the list as rides that need a little bit of a zhuzh, as Pam Forrester would say, a little bit of a facelift. And Disney just announced that they're going to be redoing all the technology, the ride vehicles, the blasters, the scoring. Everything is going to get an upgrade and a facelift on Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin. It's going to close in August and reopen next year. There's no specific time frame on it, but we did see some videos of the new upgrades, and it looks like it's going to be pretty amazing. My concern with this is that Magic Kingdom is like slowly losing rides left and right. Buzz Lightyear's gonna be down. Astro Orbiter's down for refurbishment. We know Big Thunder Mountain is gonna be at least probably another year out on its refurbishment because it's having the entire track replaced. You're starting to really cut down on attractions over there at Magic Kingdom, which is a little bit of a bummer. But this one is really, really needed. As long as they don't touch the People Mover, I'm cool with refurbishments over there. Then we got some news on the shows at Disney's Hollywood Studios. The shows at Disney's Hollywood Studios are probably some of the most anticipated openings for Walt Disney World in 2025. For better or for worse, they are going to be some of the most exciting things that are going to be opening in 2025. And we found out that both shows are going to debut on May 27th. Disney's Hollywood Studios. So just after Epic Universe opens on May 22nd, Disney's going to be releasing both of those shows. The first is going to be the Little Mermaid musical show, which is going to replace the Little Mermaid building that was at Disney in the animation courtyard. It's been vacant for a very long time and is obviously much needed. It looks like a lot of fun. The other show is going to be Disney Villains Unfairly Ever After is going to be opening where the Cars show used to be, right next to Rock and Roller Coaster. So we're really, really excited about that show. I think that that one is probably going to be the one that will be more popular at Disney's Hollywood Studios, and it remains to be seen whether or not they're going to have lighting lanes, especially for the first couple weeks. I would anticipate that they will, but who knows? I think that that's going to be really exciting. Next week, my family and I are going to be going down to say goodbye to Muppet Courtyard on spring break. We're just going to be making a quick 1 day visit to Disney's Hollywood Studios because it's got a huge nostalgia factor and a lot of meaning for our family. We absolutely love it. And the kids, we want to make sure that we go and see Muppet 3D one last time before it closes in June. And it's going to be a phase closing. So who knows when we're going to start to lose stuff there. And we just want to make sure that we get to visit it one more time. We're already going to be down in the area for spring break, but not doing a Disney trip, as shocking as that might be to some of you. We also got a little bit of news on the Starlight Parade at Magic Kingdom that everybody is really, really excited about. So Happily Ever After is going to be moving to 9 p.m., which it normally does during the summer because it starts to get darker a little bit later. But it also, I think, has something to do with the new nighttime parade because they've got to find a way to like squeeze it in there before everybody starts getting their spots for the fireworks. And it has to be dark for the parade too, to be honest. So it seems like the parade is delayed. I would have expected that it would be announced for the same or similar opening date as the two shows at Hollywood Studios, so late May. But the news that we got is that it's going to be sometime later this summer. So all that to say, that's the news and the promos for this week. And I'm going to jump right into the inbox. We got some great listener questions that have kind of been sitting for a while that I've been needing to address. One of the questions from Michael was, is it worth it to go down to Walt Disney World during the holiday season? And I know, this one I think is a little bit of a struggle for Chip when he's on the show because he's got school to deal with and it's a little bit harder for him to get down there during the holidays. But I absolutely think that the holidays are the best time to go. And it may not be the least expensive or the least crowded or the optimal for all the rides. However else you would evaluate different times to go as the best in quotes at Walt Disney World. But I think the Halloween and the Christmas parties in particular are my favorite times at Disney. So to me, if you can go down and you can go to Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party or Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party, I would absolutely do it. I would try to avoid that time period between Christmas and New Year's. It is the most crowded time at Walt Disney World, and it is like a little bit uncomfortable crowded during that time period. But there are some great deals like just before Thanksgiving in November at Disney, and then in that pocket between Thanksgiving and Christmas, I think you can find some great opportunities to go. And Magic Kingdom is just special at Christmas. And I think the Halloween party is so well done. The parade is so good that those events are just absolutely worth it. And if you can make it your priority to try and get down during the holiday season, I absolutely would do that. There's nothing about it that I would avoid other than that 1 week. And you just have to know that there's certain periods that are going to be crowded. There are also some weather issues that you can run into. August and September, is hurricane season. So if you're going down for the Halloween festivities in September, which is when my family and I typically go, you do run a little bit of a risk there. You got to look at the vacation protection packages or travel insurance. We never buy travel insurance for our family when we go down to Walt Disney World, but we really came close to having a canceled vacation last year because we went down in September right between two massive hurricanes. And I'm not the kind of person that will typically go down knowing a hurricane is coming or anything like that. We had no idea the second one was coming after we left. But I think the first one we missed by like a day. And obviously, we would have just kind of lost all our money if we would have had to no travel insurance and had to cancel our trip because of the hurricane. So that's something that you have to keep in mind too. But my goodness, November, December, I think is a great, great opportunity to go down to Walt Disney World. The next question that we got from Erica was, what nighttime shows should I prioritize? And this question, I think, it varies for a lot of Disney fans, but for me, it's a very straightforward answer. Number one is Happily Ever After. Just a little bit of a distance to number two is Fantasmic at Hollywood Studios. Happily Ever After being at Magic Kingdom. For anybody that's not aware, it's the fireworks show. Number two is Fantasmic at Hollywood Studios, which is a little bit of a fireworks nighttime water show with different characters It is absolutely incredible. And then a significant gap down, third would be Symphony of Us at Epcot. And then a much, much more significant gap would be the nighttime show on the Tree of Life, which is more of just a projection that once it gets dark, it runs every 10 or 15 minutes continuously on a loop. It's not really a show in the traditional sense. I think if you're going to Disney, especially for the first time, and I tell any of my clients this, you happily ever after is a must. If your family's only to get one night that you can stay out late, it needs to be for happily ever after for the fireworks show at Magic Kingdom. It's special with your kids. It's an absolute must see. If you are able to get one more night where you can stay out late, Fantasmic is I would encourage you to do it. It can be a little bit more difficult because getting multiple nights where you're staying out really late, especially if you've got little kids, can be really difficult, and I can appreciate that. We never usually do more than 2 late nights on a Disney vacation because our kids are all under the age of 7, and it becomes a little bit too hard. So the fireworks at Epcot typically are just something that we automatically dismiss. And the same goes for Animal Kingdom because number one, the park hours are they close so early, 7 or 8 p.m. usually. And it's harder to stay late there because then you don't want to go to another park after with little kids. So I would prioritize those top 2. If you get a chance and you have an opportunity to see the fireworks show at Epcot, it's a very cool show. It's very well done on the barges, but it doesn't have the nostalgia, like really hit you in the feels kind of moments that Fantasmic and Happily Ever After do, in my opinion. But there are a lot of people that really love it. And like I said, I do think that I saw it on my last trip again, and I do think that it's a great fireworks show. It's just not one that like I have to see, or it was not a Disney trip. When I go down and I'm at Walt Disney World, if I don't see Happily Ever After at a minimum, it's almost depressing to me. That show like actually means something to a lot of really big Disney fans, and Fantasmic I would put in that category also. That's how I would rank and prioritize the nighttime shows at Walt Disney World. Oh, this is a good one. And this came from Bethany. What are the downsides to staying off property at Walt Disney World? One of the misconceptions about Disney travel agents, myself included, is that we don't like people staying off property because we don't get paid or whatever else. That's not true. I can book you at a Marriott, I can book you at the Swan and Dolphin, I can book you at the Four Seasons or a Hilton or whatever, and I'm still going to get the same commission that I would if I booked you at Disney. It's just for the most part, and hear me when I say this, for the most part, there are circumstances where staying off site makes sense. But for the most part, it's a really, really bad idea. And the reason for that is that Disney, in their policies, has really discouraged staying off site. They really want you to stay on their hotels. And how do they do that? If you want to book Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique and you're staying off site, it's not going to happen. You can just cross it off your list because you're not going to get Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique. Why is that? Off-site resort guests do not get to book the entire length of their vacation for dining and experiences. So when your 60-day date hits and you're staying at a Hilton off-site, you have to go each night and try and book your Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique at midnight. For the first day of your vacation, you try again for the second day, third day, and so on. You do the dining every morning. You do it for your window of your vacation. If you stay on site, when that 60-day date hits and you're staying on, say, a 7-day vacation, you get to book Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique for 7 days. There's a lot of people that have not had access towards the end of your vacation, and you're going to have better availability for dining in Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique. That's the best way to get that experience. I've got a video on it, but the best way to get Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique or Cinderella's Royal Table, Space 220, is to use the end of your vacation window to book those hard to get reservations, because there's other people that are staying off site or have shorter vacations that are not going to have access to those days in their window. So I hope that makes sense. It's a little bit complicated, but basically if you're staying off site, you can put the hard to get stuff off your list. If you get it, like you hit the lottery, go buy a lottery ticket, you're a very lucky person. The same goes for multi-pass and premier pass. And if you're going at spring break or around Christmas, these really, really popular busy periods, Multi-pass and Premier Pass, if you're staying on site at Disney Resort Hotel, you get to book 7 days before your check-in date. If you're staying off-site, you get to book it 3 days before your tickets start. By the time that 3 days rolls around and all the other people that are staying at Disney Resort hotels have gotten to pick all of the multi-pass rides that they want, you've got nothing left. You're not going to get the Slinky Dog dashes, or you're going to get terrible return times. A lot of times now with Premier Pass being so popular, you're not going to get that at all. So I think the impact that it has on dining, multi-pass, Premier Pass, and experiences is enough to say staying off-site. But then if you're still considering it, bear with me for a second. You also have to pay for transportation to the parks if you're staying off-site. So you're going to have to drive, rent a car, pay for parking, take an Uber. Ubers are expensive in the Orlando area. So think about that cost. Then you add in that the cost of Walt Disney World resorts are very, very, very affordable right now, all things considered. And by all things considered, I mean like they're lower than some of the rates in 2019. I've seen all-star resorts for less than $100 a night. There are people that don't want to stay at a value resort hotel at Disney World because it's got more of the motel open air feel, and they would rather stay at a similarly priced Hilton or Marriott that has a better hotel quality to them. I can understand that. But on a pure cost basis and looking at the other amenities that the Disney resorts provide, it's rare for staying off-site to make a whole lot of sense. Where it does make sense sometimes is when you have very, very large groups with different dietary restrictions that want to cook a lot, that they need a kitchen, and you can't afford to put a group of 10 in a deluxe resort where you can get a kitchenette, or in a villa or something like that, because those are very, very expensive. So if you want to be in a value resort and you want to be able to cook your meals, if you're in that price range, it's not going to happen. So sometimes that's where an Airbnb may make sense. And you're going to be, understanding that you've got that give and take. We're going to lose a lot of opportunity there on your experiences, your multi-pass, your Premier Pass, things like that. But sometimes I tell people that are staying in an Airbnb, like put that money, that savings towards a VIP tour if you've got a group of 10. Then you don't need multi-pass, you don't need Premier Pass. You can put some of that savings towards skipping the line and you don't have to worry about it because you've got that VIP tour and you can have a great experience. So hopefully that helps talk a little bit about that, because I think that's really one of the most frequent misconceptions I get from people that are trying to look at a budget with Disney and they're like, I could really, use points at a Marriott. And that reminds me of one other thing. You can stay with points at Swan and Dolphin if you're a Marriott member. So keep that in mind too. Let's see. Oh, this was a good one from Ryan. What resorts do you book most and least, and why? Oh, that's a tough question. I should have read this before. I would say that I book Caribbean Beach the most, and that's because there are a lot of other moderates and the values that can't have families of 5. So Caribbean Beach is like the entry level family of 5 in terms of pricing at Disney. Even if it's not entry level, it's a little bit more expensive than another family of 5 option. It has the Skyliner. So where I see a lot of families land is they've got a family of 5. They want to be on the Skyliner. They want that convenience. They want the fun of Disney transportation. And Caribbean Beach ends up being like just the natural fit. I would say that I book probably the least would be Port Orleans Riverside would be one of the least. And I would think that it would be maybe Boardwalk would be the other. Yacht and Beach are not getting booked as much into 2025 because of the refurbishments at Stormalong Bay. But other than that, I typically book that resort a lot. I don't see as many at Port Orleans Riverside because the pricing is typically so close to Coronado Springs for families of 4 and Caribbean Beach for families of 5. And I see a lot of people staying in the tower at Coronado Springs or just bumping up to wanting to be at the Skyliner. And the dining, I think, at Port Orleans Riverside is not as good as the other moderate resorts. So that's where it tends to fall for me. But it could also just be pure luck based on, where my clients tend to book their vacations. But I don't get a ton of Boardwalk requests. I don't think I mean, I've probably booked that resort maybe a dozen times, and that's pretty low for the other Walt Disney World resorts. Wilderness Lodge comes to mind too as something that I don't book as frequently, but that one picks up a lot for the holidays. So that's my gut feel, but I don't have any actual numbers to back that up. I've never actually looked at the specifics, but those are my gut feelings as to why. But every vacation and every family differs as to why they gravitate towards one resort or another. It could be there's a really good discount, it could be the number of people, proximity to whatever park they want to spend the most time in, their hatred of the bus stops, the pool could be another one. The dining is something that people always consider. But if you're going to Disney, those are all the things that are going to be going through people's head. And it really kind of naturally selects your resort for you. The last question that I want to make sure that we answer was from Brianna. And it was a general question. I really want to talk to Chip about this. And it is, will Epic Universe impact Disney? And a year ago, I would have thought it was going to have a major impact on Walt Disney World. I don't think that that's the case anymore. And part of it is my own experience that there's just not as many people as I would have anticipated booking Epic Universe. The other part of it is that there are a lot of people that are still Disney people. And whether it's new, whether it's fun, whether it's the hottest thing in the world, there's still a lot of people that go to Universal and they're like, I'm a Disney person. There's certain things about it the way it makes you feel that I don't think that they're going to leave, so to speak. But I don't think Epic Universe is having the bookings and the popularity that I thought it would. And I think the pricing reflects that. It's a lot more affordable than most of us would have anticipated in the travel industry. And I think also, I think people are scared. People are scared of going for those first 2 or 3 months, whether it be for hiccups or crowds. I've heard a little bit of all of those reasons as to why people don't want to go to Epic for the first few months. They want to see how things go, see how things settle in, see what the reviews are like. I've also heard people say that it doesn't have that many attractions that really speak to them. So if your kids are not fans of, the Monsters area, Dark Universe, or they're not fans of How to Train Your Dragon, then the Harry Potter area is a little bit more adult also. You're left with Super Nintendo World and Celestial Park, and it may not speak to your family as much at that point. So all that to say, I think that Epic Universe is going to have some sort of impact on Disney. I hope it does from a competitive standpoint, because I think anytime competition, raises the floor for everybody, I think Disney is going to need to up their game a little bit. But I don't think that we're going to see any specific impact from Epic Universe on the way Disney does business. They still move a little bit slower than some of us would like them to in terms of new attractions, new lands, and things like that. But there are shovels in the ground, at Animal Kingdom, and we've got some great things coming to Magic Kingdom and Hollywood Studios. So I'm hopeful, but it remains to be seen. I really thought that Disney would up their game a little bit in terms of promotions and things in response to Epic, but that does not seem to be the case. The promotions that we talked about earlier on the show are still, I don't want to call them run of the mill, but they're still common from years past. We've seen free dining, we've seen 50% off kids tickets, and we've seen discounts of up to 30% on rooms. That is fairly common. What'll be really interesting is around now is when Walt Disney World tends to release their pricing for 2026, especially for tickets. It'll be really interesting to see if they raise the prices on their tickets. I think they've gotten a lot of backlash on that in the past, understandably, but it's also something that they do every year. So to what extent they do that, I think is going to be a sign of what we're going to see to come. But the last question that we got was, and it's the most frequently asked question that I probably get on social media and in the inbox, and it's, how do I become a Disney travel agent? I'm actually going to make a separate video on that because there's a lot to it and it's not for everybody, but it is a really fun thing to do to help people plan their vacations. But you do it for free, right? Like, I only get paid a commission if somebody books their trip with me and they actually go on the trip, and then I get paid, 30 days after they get back. So you get a lot of people that ask for quotes and don't end up booking anything. You spend a lot of time working with families that don't necessarily end up booking a vacation and then you obviously don't get paid. So there's a lot that goes into being a quote Disney travel agent. And I say that because we are not employed by Disney. You're actually a travel agent and you specialize in Disney destinations. So that's something that I'll talk about on a separate video, but you can always feel free to reach out to me in the inbox, social media, and I'm happy to chat with you about whether or not it's something that you want to, get into, or if you have any specific questions or anything like that. If you do want to work with me to plan your next Walt Disney World vacation, Universal, Sandals, beaches, Royal Caribbean, I do the whole thing. It is free to get a quote. It's free to work with me, no cost to you. And myself and the team at the Magic for Less Travel will help you plan a great vacation. The link to get a quote is going to be in the show notes. You can also always email me, matt@adventuresofadisneydad.com, and I'll be happy to help you out. I appreciate you guys listening. I know that this was a little bit of a different format. I can't wait to have Chip back. And I hope you enjoyed this episode and got a lot of value out of it. If you did, please like, rate, and review the podcast on whatever platform you prefer. Share it with your friends. Chip and I, we greatly appreciate it. We've loved doing this show. It means a lot to us. So we'll see you in the parks.